Welcome to the Week in Italian Startup, where we discuss the latest highlights happening in the Italian tech and investment ecosystem. Big week last week, more than 15 million raised, what has been declared, 2 IPOs, and a bunch of funds and accelerator being activated, from different perspective, different entities. Very curious week for sure. So end of the week, definitely like a big final push. I mean, end of the year, a big final push for sure.
Yeah, fireworks to end the year.
All right, so let's get into it. Let's start actually from one of the first news, probably the biggest raise of the week, which has been Termo, green tech startup raising 7.3 million, which has been led by some of the probably oldest institution in VC in Italy. So FITEC, which is a fund managed by Fondo Italiano di Investimento SGR, and also the Lazio fund. So that's a good move for them. It's a big move. Apparently it's a Series C. So it's give us a little bit of flavors on what Series C in general, well, with all the precaution and bias, can look like in Italy. So it's about 8.5 million roughly.
Yeah, well, I have to say that FITEC has been the lead and probably only investor almost in Termo since the Series A raised by the company a few years back. So that's a series of insider funding. So talking about series is, I believe, a little bit weird in this case because the investor is always the same. But still, the company has raised, I haven't checked, but close to probably between 15 and 20 million.
So
far.
There's a full run. Okay, so far. Awesome.
Yeah, so far. I can check live, but
yeah. What is interesting, as you check, is that this is a company that is basically working in the green techs, which in Italy, which is optimizing energy consumption. A lot of companies have been working in this space, especially, which maybe it's helpful for the listener to know that there has been a lot of incentive for families, businesses to actually move to more sustainable sources of energy and working with provider that basically are better equipped for managing energy more efficiently. So what is called the classical eco bonus and so on and so forth. So there's been a lot of movement in that space. So Termo is one of the other. I can think of maybe 2 of them working with residential facilities to actually make sure that the energy consumption is optimized. A lot of companies are also working in corporation. So it's a very active sector, I would say.
As you said, it is a very attractive market right now and driven by the incentives set up by the government, not only, but they help a lot. As I was checking, Termo raised north of 50 million euros so far.
Cool.
So quite a good capitalized company, I would say.
Fantastic. All right, another player moving on with which we've seen a lot, especially in the latest month, is Lyft. Which has been investing very heavily in the life sciences sector. Well, the founder of Lyft, as we can, it's one of the top physicists turned life science investor in Italy, probably. So Cellply, very interesting startup, basically analytical tool for life sciences. So I'm not a technician here, but definitely this is something worth mentioning. Joining the round is also YAG and Indaco, which have been essentially helping out on the round.
Okay, that's not my market neither, of course, but this is quite a good partner there why investing in this round. So Indaco, this fund, LIFTT, an expert in deep tech, as you said. IAG, Italian Angels for Growth, is a very strong group of angels, in particular in life sciences. So this is also an interesting signal in terms of where they're deploying their money. So possibly there is something very interesting in what Cellply is doing.
Awesome. Right, moving on. Mirta B2B marketplace for luxury goods, accessories in particular, coming from Italian boutique artisan. Very interesting play, actually. I had the chance to meet the founders and explore a little bit the business model. Very, very cool, in the sense they just focus on a curated selection of small Italian artisan, and they built a marketplace around it. So it's good to hear that they've been able to raise like 2.5 million in seed round. And here's the official announcement on LinkedIn with a lot of private investors, essentially. So basically private angels, I would say. I don't recognize any more conventional VC, I would say. So probably they're like different holding companies playing in different fields. So good job for sure on them. Yes.
Yep, and the interesting part is the pivot that they're doing. So because they started out as a B2C marketplace, and they're actually working to pivot the business model towards a B2B marketplace. So basically, once you have access to the artisans, and Italian artisans are probably top of the world in the luxury and accessories market.
Yeah,
you can think about becoming something different, something else, something closer to, I don't know, Alibaba for fashion and luxury. I don't know. So it's a very interesting play here. So
solving a big problem, because it's basically Italian artisan being amazing in their skills and job, but probably a little maybe feeling like falling behind the digitized world. So that's a good way to actually grant them access in a very direct way. So awesome job for sure. All right, let's talk about Red Circle. So Red Circle Investment is the vehicle from Lorenzo Rosso, the founder of Diesel. He invested an undisclosed amount of money in Bending Spoon. Bending Spoon has been an active player in the app development space. I think, the founders are Italian. Now they're basically international. They work basically everywhere. And they've been working on developing a lot of apps in different segments, being it fitness, health, yoga, gaming, etc. And they've been rocking actually in the past, I would say 5 to 10 years for sure. A very, very strong presence overall.
Yeah, well, betting schools are one of the silent heavyweights that we have in Italy, but probably not many people know who they are. But as you read there from the capture from their website, so 380 million downloads for their apps across the world. So they are a real heavyweight in terms of
more than Snapchat apparently. There you go. Here's a nice chart where the estimated download, 150,000 download for Snapchat, and they're between Snapchat and WhatsApp in a very cool way. Yeah, of course, across all their different applications, but still is incredibly relevant.
Yeah, if you think about it, in a single day, more downloads than heavyweights such as Twitter and Snapchat. So that's something. And Lorenzo Rosso is not new in doing this type of investments in Italian champions. I mean, he did a few others, of course, Cortiglia last year from our portfolio.
Okay,
and not the only one. So he's been deploying capital in the digital sector, diversifying quite a bit from the market where he started, basically fashion. So very interesting.
No, great strategy. I'm curious whether he's seeing maybe some sort of synergies with his other companies, or is just doing that out of his own personal diversification strategy in terms of family holding or a holding company.
I don't know. That's a good question. But from the outside, it seems that he's investing in number ones in their markets.
Awesome.
But I don't know whether there's some kind of rouge joining of the various investments. Other than that, I have no idea.
Very cool.
But that's a good question.
Let's talk about IPOs, Nick. 2 IPOs last week, Genenta and Sababa Security. So the first one is Genenta, a company operating in gene therapy. Went public on the Nasdaq, selling 2.4 million share. And they've been rocking. I know that among the investors is the Club degli Investitori in Turin and a bunch of others. So it's a very cool announcement.
Yeah, this is probably the first Italian biotech company listed on the Nasdaq, or at least this was one of the marketing stories that they told as they were doing the roadshow for the rounds. So good work to Pierluigi Paracchi. Genenta has been doing quite an exceptional trajectory. So very nice. We'll see where they can go and what they can reach with these, because I don't know whether they are already on the market or they are still in the research phase in terms of platform and product. So
yeah, look.
This is so outside of my
exactly. No, same here. But definitely something worth mentioning. Big life science company, probably one of the biggest in Italy for sure. Very cool. The second one, Nick, is something you know better, is Cyborg Security. So we're talking about Sababa Security, operator in the Italian market in terms of cybersecurity. Again, went public, this time in the Euronext Growth in Milan. So it's a kind of a local listing, I would say, a national listing. And any comments on this?
Well, I met the founder, and this has been a very fast execution, because I think he launched Sababa in 2019 or something like that. So the fact that he is listing the company in 2 years says something about the speed with which he executed it. The founder was a former Kaspersky, I believe. So he knows the market very well. He set up this cybersecurity platform, multi-service, with a good traction from the very beginning.
Wow!
So great execution. And I was considering that in the last couple of years, probably 4 different cybersecurity companies IPO'd on the Italian Stock Exchange.
And if I'm not mistaken, is always like kind of IPOs on a smaller scale, like kind of national. So maybe there is a pattern there. They go really quick to IPO, and the valuation basically is not too far from a private company that operates and not on the public market. So there is something there for sure.
There is something there. You're right. I believe that partly is because the AIM, now the Euronext Growth Market Milano, is positioning itself as a sort of alternative to private capital for growing companies, scaling companies, not for mature-ish companies. And for some reason, cybersecurity is a vertical that's embracing that idea with happiness, and the market is answering quite well, because
good point.
I think they went with quite some over demand from the roadshow.
Super interesting.
And 9 million euros, as you said, is basically good Series B in Italy.
Exactly.
It's a very large Series A, let's say.
Exactly. For Italian standard is between a B and a C, I would say, like we've seen before. But interesting pattern. So go fast, go IPO, and let's see what happens in the cybersecurity space.
And the company is probably has probably a couple of million of euros of revenue. So it's not a huge scale up. That's the order of magnitude of the size of the company. So
interesting. All right, moving on, let's talk about Moneyfarm. So Moneyfarm, one of the biggest provider of wealth management services. So they basically simplify investing for retail investors. and they provide ETF portfolios, and the founders are Italian. The company has been growing and expanding really fast, and now they've been acquiring Wealthsimple from United Kingdom, acquiring their client pool and integrating for sure the services and everything that needs to be done when a strategy by a growth by acquisition strategy has been pursued. So yeah.
Yeah, well, that's here I am. I'm back. Again, that's an interesting move. Wealthsimple, as the article says, is leaving the UK, focus on Canada, and Moneyfarm has been quite happy in acquiring their customer base. I think this somehow matches an announcement the Moneyfarm made some weeks ago, I believe, about their intention of raising additional capital to grow.
Oh wow!
Yeah, this move probably relates to the goal of further growing the company. I think they are gaining momentum. As probably at the beginning of this year they announced a couple of billion euros under management. Now they reached 2.5 billion under management.
Yeah, exactly.
The growth is gaining momentum, so that's good to know for Moneyfarm. So
very interesting. We're definitely one of the biggest heavyweight in the fintech space in Italy, which I don't know if we should consider this company Italian anymore, since it's been operating in the UK and beside in the all European space, and I think all the regulation they've gained, so they allow them to pretty much sell their product all across Europe. So yeah, in a very good position for sure.
Yeah, I believe they tried to open another market in Europe, probably Germany. I don't remember, but they left it.
Interesting.
Because they found that it was probably draining too many resources from the core markets. Better to go back to the markets where they're delivering and postpone the international expansion.
Awesome.
Still, nice numbers.
Let's talk about our big player in Italy, Cassa Depositi e Prestiti, CDP. It's been moving extremely fast in many different ways. The latest one being launching, I think what I believe is the 8th accelerator or 9th accelerator, which is a forward factory accelerator, basically supporting Industry 4.0 companies and injecting a bunch of money into the ecosystem.
Yeah, they now have a scheme that they are repeating for the new accelerator. They team up with a champion, usually an international champion, expert in acceleration, and at least a few enterprises that are relevant for the theme of the accelerator. They put money on the table and they finance the program for at least 3 years. And then we see what happens. Again.
But it feels that for an accelerator, the budget is kind of very limited, because if you do the number, it's about, doing the math is about 166,000 euro per startup per year, thinking that, 10 startups a year for 3 years with follow-on capital, which has been reserved. So more or less that's the play. So it's a very early stage accelerator kind of deal for sure.
Yep. So they're absolutely following the rule book of the traditional pre-seed accelerator in terms of firing capacity. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. Interesting.
But the good thing that they're doing is trying to bring to Italy international experts in acceleration, and basically having them run programs for 3 years in Italy, so creating a legacy of knowledge, competencies about launching startups. Basically.
Yeah.
So this is a strategic play that you can see between the lines in what they're doing.
So Nick, what is gonna be the next one? Now, like we can bet on this. Now we've seen factory, we've seen like things related to logistics, fintech. We have edutech, we have cyber tech in general, and AI. We have mobility. We have clean tech. I don't know. In sport, what is next? What is missing? Maybe NFTs or Web 3 or something like that.
Maybe there's no blockchain there. There's no probably difficult, but just to drop markets. It's like there is no life science or digital health related topics here. What else? I don't see things probably related for digital retail.
Yeah, like marketing technology of any sort. It's
Martech or sales tech. Yes, exactly.
Interesting. All right, we'll see because these guys, they keep surprising us for sure. All right, what is the deal here with blockchain and AI? So apparently 45 million allocated from the Italian government to push project in blockchain and artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I'm very happy that the government is setting aside an additional pool of resources for this vertical. They're never enough, but still, every now and then I ask myself whether it makes sense to, have different parts of the government employing capital in different ways on the same market.
Good point.
You have CDP Venture Capital sitting there and doing basically, an orchestrated approach to funding startups from the university to the later stages. And then you come up with this. But I'm very happy. Hopefully, it will fit nicely with all the greater scheme of financing deep tech in Italy. But still, one wonders. Anyhow, 45 million. Probably in not strictly speaking equity. We're talking about grants. We're talking about debt. We're talking about other financing instruments. So
yeah. So not too bad, but still we're lacking the coordination for sure.
Yeah, well, we talked about it I think in the past edition, but it will come. So kudos to the government for putting more resources on the market.
Let's talk about Intesa Sanpaolo. Intesa Sanpaolo, also big bank in Italy, one of the biggest player in general is in the banking sector. They have been also pushing a lot since 2020. A very sort of active fund, NEVA SGR, which started with NEVA first as a closed-end fund, investing in innovation in general for the San Paolo group, not only in Italy, but also basically across the different geographies. Right now, they've been actually structuring a new fund, NEVA First Italia, just for investments in the Italian ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly. So Intesa is growing this SGR that they englobated, because not acquired, because before becoming what it is now, it was already participated by Intesa, but basically Intesa acquired full control of NEVA and started a turnaround. Not a turnaround, but an improvement and enlargement of the SGR with a broader goal of becoming a true venture capital arm of the bank. So the main fund is aiming for a 200 million raise, I believe. More than half is already committed. And then they're launching these side funds or additional funds dedicated to other verticals and other geographies. So
awesome. Good sign from this banking sector. So in Italy, we have a few banks that actually are very active in innovation, starting from our friend from Sella. Intesa is another big player, and then I'm sure a lot of other will follow for sure once they will start seeing the first positive outcomes happening later on during the life of the investments, for sure.
Exactly.
All right, let's end up with a very interesting article from about the future of warehousing from Aster, which I didn't know is a VC firm, is a European VC firm, I think based in France, right?
Yep.
Awesome. And
but one of the partners is Italian.
Okay.
And some people from the team is Italian, and Ubaldo is one of them. So I was very happy in sharing his past. But quite interesting. I wasn't aware that warehousing is just a broad offering in terms of various players.